weird looking smoke. I think there might be Mongolians here. Also, though, this game is kind of good looking. It's a good looking game. Look at that. Look at my mask. I got that from getting a special edition. You want that vibe? You want that face mask vibe? I do want to get one of those like metallic headbands. It's the next step in my Weibo accoutrement. Huh? Well, he takes his mask off for the cutscenes. I just can't see myself buying one for like under a few $100s. Maybe I might want to get a replica. What a freaking mask, a freaking samurai mask. Dude, the other night when I was drinking, I was thinking like, dude, I want to create a company where like you make masks that like you take like an image of your face and you somehow like they know the geometry of it and they make it so it like matches. Like when you put the face mask on, it like kind of shows what your face would look like because you're wearing the face mask. And then your sister and your brother were talking about how there's somebody who does it already. Like, of course.
Or if you figure out how to make like a breathable mask that was like see-through.
That'd be pretty hard to do though, because most materials that are transparent aren't permeable. They're usually like made of some type of
But they are just saying you just need something over your mouth, like a splatter shield.
I just gotta get like.
You could just put plastic over your face.
I've seen these like sheer masks they sell now too.
What is that?
Or it's like sheer, like underwear, like or like lingerie, where it's like very like pantyhose, where it's like a mask that's like very thin weaving with huge gaps. Technically it's a mask, but you can see their face through the mask. Like you could do pantyhose or something like that. You know what I mean? Or like lingerie. Like it's very widely weaved or whatever. Like the gaps between the weaving and the but that's the thing, it's like I'm wearing something over a mask. And they even, I saved a screenshot of this 4chan thread that this guy was saying, laying out, you know, in 4chan style green text, just point by point all the things that are wrong with the mask. One of the things he brought up was just like the size of coronavirus particle, the size of the moisture particles that can supposedly like latch onto, and the size that masks are rated to stop. And a mask is rated to stop something that's at like 0.375 like nanometers. And the particles that the coronavirus, viruses will latch onto are like 0.05 nanometers. So small. And the coronavirus itself is like 0.01. You know, it's tiny. So it's like not only can this not stop the coronavirus, it can't even stop the supposed moisture particles. It attaches itself. So what are we doing? If anything, it's causing undue respiratory stress, creating a bacterial inductive environment, and you're breathing through this mask that who knows what particles are in it, and who knows who's touched it.
Who knows how many people have gotten sick, even by wearing masks, and even by using gloves.
And you can make a better argument for N95 masks, which are the ones that almost like form like a cup on your face.
Yeah.
But these surgical masks, they're sitting like inches, like millimeters off of your face. You know what I mean? Like, so any viruses that get into that mask filter are then just sitting right by your face, just like, you know, fulminating, growing.
Yeah.
With an N95, at least it's sitting like off your face a little bit, but even though there's a lot of arguments against those too. And if you really have to get serious about this, like, really that work, you have to start telling people you have to shave your beards, you have to cut your hair, at least shave your beards, because, like, you can't wear a mask properly if you have a beard. That's what I see these people with huge beards. These dudes with huge beards wearing a mask. And it's like, dude, your mask is sitting a half inch off your face because your beard. Like, do you think, like, what? It's doing nothing. And it's essentially an exercise in seeing, like, who will comply with pointless orders.
Yeah, who will follow this order that has no backing?
Yeah, without thinking about it.
They're just like, oh yeah, you're not spitting now.
And also, they talk purely about you breathing out your mouth and particles ejected from your mouth. I'm like, well, when I go to the store, I mostly breathe out my nose. So, what's your argument for that? Is my nose ejecting stuff out in front of me? No, I think my nose is mostly expelling particles down into my own chest and belly. You know what I mean? It's not, my nose isn't projecting the coronavirus out into the people that are in front of me, like I would if I were a mouth breather.
I think the virus hasn't been spreading, but also mostly because people are still washing their hands more. It is. Yeah. Staying away from it.
I saw some guys saying too, like, he's an American in Europe, he said nobody here in Europe is wearing masks. They're all, you know, enjoying their summer. Meanwhile, they're like travel banning Americans. Like, it's purely a political issue. Like, they're all doing the exact same crap we're doing.
People are like, how can wearing a mask be a political thing? It's like, it's not. We don't want to do it. And that's why it's a political thing. Apparently. You know, it's like...
Yeah,
I
it's
didn't know
just...
it was a political thing.
It's just too little too late, like it always is with this shit. It's like, this is way too late to be doing this. Like, the numbers are going down for the most part, like overall. And just like now you're gonna tell people to start masking up and all this shit, forcing people to take COVID tests. We should have done this in January, February. But you guys are like, oh, it's no big deal. Go hug a Chinese person. Go. And it's like back when we thought, oh, this could be a huge pandemic. We need to prepare. They didn't do any of this shit.
People
and now that
saying Trump needed to do something 6 months ago, and it's like, you mean when China was lying to him?
yeah, and now that we know, it's actually not that big of a deal. They want to do all the shit we should have done 4 months ago, 6 months ago, when we didn't know if it would be big. But it was a mystery back then. And now that we understand, okay, the death rate's less than 1%, it's mostly old people, you know, these are the precautions we can take. Like, why are we doing this shit now? We should just be telling, like, older people to stay home, you know, whatnot. Like, she realizes it's the one problem with our society is we always do shit way too late. But if you compare the Asian countries didn't have like any of these like mask regulations or anything like that, and their rates have gone down. And I just think it's all purely politics. Like, as you look at these European countries, and they don't have the numbers we've seen in America, and it's like, it almost feels like, this is the thing, they'll call you an anti-intellectual, they'll call you this, they'll call you that. But I feel like the medical institutions, a lot of them are against Trump. It's just all these people are against Trump, and you can't trust them because they just want Trump to be out of office. Especially these bureaucrats, these people who go to positions where they don't do anything but lord over people and write regulations. A lot of those people are left-wing, because who the fuck wants to do that? Who the fuck wants to dedicate their life to, like, enforcing regulations and writing regulations for people? Yeah, these are all swamp rats. Like, I didn't make a living off being a worthless piece of shit. It's like, well, sorry, you're not gonna be a worthless piece of shit. Maybe not to call everybody a piece of shit, but it's just crap like that works. Of course they don't like it. Yeah. I can't wait, which probably isn't going to happen because I'm taking all engineering classes, but if some fucking faggot, not faggot, some douche approaches me on campus, tries to white guilt me, I'm just going to be like, get the fuck out. But it's just like, I don't accept any of your premises. You need to argue these premises before I accept any of them. Like, they just come with so many assumptions, which they're accused. Yeah, prove to me that white people are evil, that colonization was a bad thing, all these things. They were just, I mean, I'm drunk right now, I'm not very eloquent, but it's just like, there's just so many assumptions you're making academically. Prove them to me, and explain to them to me how they're not any less supremacist or racist than Hitler, or friggin' Idi Amin, or any of these other fucking people. Like, you're like, oh, white people are inherently evil because they are. It's like, oh, okay. Sounds pretty fucking racist to me. Well, no, to be racist, you have to have control of the institutions. Well, who says that? Is that what you said? Why? Well, let's come up with a new term. You guys are fucking bigoted towards white people, or whatever you want to call it. You know? Oh, you can't be racist towards white people. It's just like shit like that. You're something towards white people, and it's not a good thing. Well, in the definition of racism they're using was literally created by a communist, Leon Trotsky. Where it's like, racism is power plus privilege or whatever. It's like, I thought racism was just not liking somebody because of the color of their skin, but apparently it's this complicated equation. It just gives brown people the right to not like white people and blame it on white privilege. Like power plus privilege. It's racist. So in order to be racist, you have to have power. So black people can't be racist to get the power. Even though they can just lie and bullshit to police and charges pressed against a man who's just trying to defend his family against a convicted felon. That's not privilege. Being able to get accepted into a college with fucking horrible grades, that's not privilege. But black people have so much privilege, especially they don't even know. The thing, we're talking about white privilege, just white privilege. That fucking black privilege is a thing.
Are they saying like black people can only be racist in Africa?
I guess. It's just saying black people can't be racist in America. No, fuck that. You can. If you think somebody is lesser than you because you're skin color, you're a racist. I don't know if that's a bad thing. Even. Just, I think there's varying levels of racism. Say that they just have completely convoluted. I mean, I do think, in general, that's a bad thing.
I just can't imagine somebody fully, like, believing all this shit. I
just think it's become religious stuff. Because they claim they're about science. Well, let's say just scientifically we prove that Native Americans are more likely to be alcoholics than white, than other people, than other races. Are we not allowed to talk about that and address that problem? That problem that exists in reality. We're not allowed to talk about that because it might be perceived as racist. You know what I mean?
So it'll just remain a problem.
So it'll just remain a problem. We're not allowed to address actual realities that exist because they may be perceived as racist. And in that case, yeah, these things will just keep being problems and nothing will get made better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like we have this religious idea that people of all races and all cultures are created equal and they're all capable of the same things. But it's like, is that truth? And I'm not saying just because you're black you should be subjected to like different laws or be a lesser citizen, but it's like...
But you can't expect civilization to like get a hold of it.
But yeah, what happens with this worldview too is when more Asians than whites are, when like more Asians than blacks get into law school, like, well, it must be because of systematic racism. Or when like more blacks than whites go to like jail, oh, that must be because of systematic racism. That's the only explanation you can have under that assumption, is that the only reason for inequality is that racism, and it couldn't possibly be that these different communities or ethnicities express their lives in different ways. Where Asians are, there's not a lot of Asian muggers. I don't know. There's not a lot of them. I don't know why. Asians aren't very likely to violently rob you. Yeah. I don't know why, but that's just the reality. They would have just blamed that on racism. Yeah. But I'm saying these people just have a religious belief and no genetics, no racial differences. And I'm saying we may want that to be true, but I don't know if that's actually true. I don't know if every person genetically actually will behave the same. I'm not saying it's out of their power to behave differently. But I'm saying when you try to blame all the differences on, like I said, the only conclusion you can then draw is that it's racism that is causing these differences in society. The reason Asian people are good at math is racism. The reason like, I mean, you know. The other thing
It's not that simple.
The other thing they never bring up, they never talk about black athleticism. They never talk about the fact that blacks excel at like certain athletic sports. Is that not an example of racial differences right there? Like, why are there not that many white people in the NBA? Like, you know, isn't that, or shouldn't that end of their worldview? That should be an example of racism. But they never talk about it. Why are there no diversity quotas for the NBA? Or for the fucking... I guess the one in the NBA, they're really not that good at baseball or hockey. Maybe, the NFL. The thing is, this country historically and in reality is
called wrong.
紫の冠という地が忠頼公の言い伝えの中に残されています。そこは麻布の北にあり、紫の木。
You hear him complaining about how everybody in India is too Indian, or everybody in China is too Chinese, or everybody in Nigeria is too black. They only complain about how white Europe is, or how white America is. So it's like, the white countries should be open to everybody, but the brown country, minorities, it's just almost like, almost sound like some crazy racist conspiracy theorist. Like, why is it okay for Nigerians to be Nigerians and Chinese to be Chinese, but it's wrong for German to be German, or it's wrong for an American to be freaking American? Why? Tired of this shit. Also, all these racial theorists tend to neglect the passage of time and multiple generations of people. Like, they talked about these crimes as if they were committed against themselves. And it's like, this was done to your grandfather, or your great-great-grandfather, your great-great-great-grandfather.
Yeah, how many of your ancestors lived a great life together? Or, like, never really experienced racism?
Or are you just gonna act like...
Yeah, why can't you just live your life and, like, they're called haters. Like, they're not, people aren't just out trying to kill you. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, maybe black people are, I don't know. But, like, white people don't go around just trying to kill black people.
Yeah, if anything, I see black people killing white people. I don't see a lot of white people killing black people.
Like, this is not, should not be an issue. It has not been an issue.
Yeah.
And that's why.
And that's why you want me to care. Black Lives Matter. I think white on black crime, or black on white crime, is a way bigger deal than police on black crime. Like, black people commit atrocities against white people way more often.
The whole spectrum.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. If they're gonna start making this some racist shit, listen, you guys do horrible things to white people and police officers. Way more often than white people and police officers do horrible things than you.
Like,
Just pissing me
how many
off.
police officers are killed by gang members that are usually black?
And then there's this video of this freaking black lady, I'm gonna show you later, vandalizing the Black Lives Matter. Like, you know, it's just yellow letters that say Black Lives Matter. They painted on the road in front of Trump Tower, of course, in New York City. She walks in there with a bucket of black paint, starts pouring it on it. It's saying, like, whatever, like, you know, all lives matter, like, Jesus matters, stuff like that. And meanwhile, these, like, white police officers are trying to, like, arrest her and apprehend her. And she's just, like, on her hands and knees, like, rubbing the paint in, you know. And they're, like, trying to put handcuffs on her. And while she's, like, rubbing the paint in, like, she pulls away from one of them and he's, like, trying to handcuff her. And she pulls him and he, like, slips and falls and, like, hits his head on the pavement. He starts rolling around, like, oh, my goodness. I mean, she's still, like, rubbing the paint on it. But it's just funny how they will just, oh, my goodness, how dare you vandalize this Black Lives Matter mural. But if you want to, like, loot a store or, you know, graffiti a federal courthouse, totally fine, we're not getting angry. But if you want to touch this Black Lives Matter mural that's painted in road paint yellow, which seems like a traffic accident, that's not even a piece of art. It's just plain font, plain yellow font. It's just a fuck you to Trump. That's not art. It's just a political message. It's been sponsored by the city government. You can't blame these people for it. Yeah, it's propaganda. It's just such a loaded statement. I agree that white lives matter, Asian lives matter, Mexican lives matter, black babies' lives matter, black fetuses' lives matter. They don't seem to give a shit about that. But the actual Black Lives Matter movement is a political thing.
Yeah, there's also plenty of things that you can do for the black community.
That's like there was some video of some guy yelling at these, like, he's like, just some dude in Detroit. He was like trying to get to work. He was like, activist brought him his way, and he's telling him, like, he's a black guy. He's telling him, I mentor black kids. Like, I volunteer in this community. Like, you actually want to help, I can give you guys numbers and people to contact. And yeah, they have no interest. They just want to, like, talk shit. They don't actually want to help. It's like you read about what's supposedly happening in Portland. It's like, these people have been LARPing for like 2 months now. They're a bunch of... They've been LARPing that they're a bunch of rebels, they're a bunch of, like, anti-government, like, yeah, fuck the police, we're gonna... All cops are bad, we'll kill, like, the only good pig is the dead pig, all this shit. It's violent Reddit. And now, oh my goodness, the federal government is arresting some of them. It's like, good fucking thing! Like, how long are we gonna let this go on for? Yeah, like...
They're they're
They-
basically killing you.
They're a bunch of internet tough guys. They think they're such hot shit.
They're allowing the police not to do their job, right? And actually,
Well, and the governor is talking about how it's like a violation of our democracy, and I'm like, what in our democracy gives you a right to like riot and loot and
right.
graffiti and vandalize?
You realize some people had property.
Yeah.
What?
Well, and they're also, one of the buzzwords they're using is warrantless arrest. And I'm like, you understand if you're actively committing a crime, the police don't need a warrant to arrest you?
You just killed somebody, but let me go get a warrant.
Let me go contact the judge real quick.
Stay right there.
Guardians! Kill the leader. Alright, Mongolians. You want some more? Just killed your leader, homeboys. Just archer. He's not being all archer. That's the thing, it's like not even all black people agree with Black Lives Matter. But they're in a better position. It's cute. Yeah, exactly. But it's also people, I think it's a lot of people who are scared. Because they see what happens if you disagree with these people. Like, you lose your job, you get fired. That's the problem. I want to start staying up for it.
If they're gonna stay in their mob, let's stay in our mob. Like, don't bring us out until you come to us. You know what I mean? Like you do your shit. You're going to jail because that's against the fucking law. We're gonna let justice play out because that's good for all the races. Because that's why we have laws. Is to protect everybody. So yeah.
I'm not going to drive to Portland and get myself arrested trying to fight some commies. But if you show up in my neighborhood,
Yeah, I'm gonna just support the law.
or you try to block the road, well, then I'll take action. Hey, right now I'm going to support the law because our laws still exist, and if I were to try to do anything, I would be convicted under the law.
引くでないぞ。当然だ。信号が不定。